पहले तुम खा।
Is my voice audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, wait for a minute. Okay, should I have to start from the first? Because the first, did you able to hear from the first?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
No,
sir.
sir.
Okay, then again, we are starting from the first. Now, introduction to the Java programming, that what is the Java? So basically, Java is what it is originally developed by the Sun Microsystem. It is originally developed by Sun Microsystem and initiated the James Gosling. Initiated by the James Gosling, and it is released on the 1995. So basically, Java is a object-oriented programming language. And this object-oriented programming language is what? Object-oriented programming language follows the approach. The approaches, some approaches are present. These approaches are present in the object-oriented programming. What are the approaches? The approaches that are present are the encapsulation, abstraction and implementation hiding, inheritance, dynamic binding and polymorphism, overriding and overloading. All of these approaches are present in the object-oriented programming. So later on, we will discuss one by one approaches in the Java programming. But now onwards, you only know that these are the approaches present. These are the approaches that are present in the object-oriented programming. And Java is what? Java is a language. Java is a language that follows this object-oriented programming concept. That means the approaches that we have seen in the object-oriented programming, that should be present in the Java also, because Java is what? Java follows the approach of the object-oriented programming. That means the concepts that are present, that should also be present in the Java, because Java follows the object-oriented programming approach. And Java is what? Java is a case sensitive language. It is a very case sensitive. That means case sensitive means sometimes you can write small letters, sometimes you can write capital letter. When there is small letter, you should write the small letters, or when there should be the capital letters, you should write of the capital letters. That's why it is said that a case sensitive or the sensitive language. And Java is also what? It is the platform. It is also a platform. Now, Java is basically a programming language, which is what? There is an important property known as the GRE. GRE means Java Runtime Environment. In this environment, the Java program runs. So that's why its name is Java Runtime Environment. In this environment, we can run the Java program. And Java has its own sorts of hardware. Java has its own sorts of hardware in which the Java program runs. And Java is basically what? It is our platform independent, because we have GRE, that means Java Runtime Environment, and JVM. Now basically JVM is Java Virtual Machine. This is where the compilation of the Java program is done using JVM. JVM is like a compiler. This is the compiler, the Java Virtual Machine, in which Java program we compile. Now, there are the features of the Java. The features of the Java are present. Now, the first features, that is the object-oriented programming. Now, object-oriented programming means, because Java is what? Java is the object-oriented, follows the object-oriented approaches. That means the they are also in the Java can follows that approaches also. These are what? Java is using the object-oriented programming concept. So all of that also be followed by the Java programming. And there is what? Now in these approaches, we can create an object. In Java, there is basically the concept related to class and object. So each and everything, that means declaring a variable, declaring a methods, methods in Java, we say that as a methods. But method is what? The main thing as a function. You have read in the C also that function we say in the Java as a method. So that method, then variables, all are present in where? All are present inside a class. So creating a class is very important in Java, because all of the programming will be done over that. and there is a concept of object, creating object, then inheritance concept, polymorphism concept. All of this will be what? All of this will be present in the Java. Okay, so that's why it is the object oriented programming. Now the second is the platform independent. Now why it is platform independent? It has a own platform to run application, and the platform has a two main parts. It has two main parts. One is the runtime environment, and another one is what? API, application programmable interface. This is what? The application programmable interface. So that's why it has own platform. That's why we call that as a platform independent. And there is also one thing, that is why we call the Java programming as platform independent. Now, basically, when we compile the Java, let's say you are doing the programming in Java, and this Java, there is a software present. First, for Java, you have to install the Jdk, and in the Jdk Java development toolkit, that name is, and GRE you have to install in the machine. So after that, you can able to run the Java program. Now let's say your system is of the Windows. Your system is using the operating system as a Windows. Now we have many operating system present, like Windows, Mac, Linux, then all of these are operating system present. So basically saying that your system you are using, that is the Windows system you are using. Now in this Windows system, what you have done? You have run a Java program. Okay, so first when you write the Java program, and after that you will execute the Java program, then what will happen? The same process. The same process means when you execute the program, the compilation will done first. So when you compile your Java program, then a thing will be created. Now, if anyone has remembered that when you compile the C program, what is created? Can anyone say that after compiling the C program, what will be created? You know that. Basically, when you execute or compile the C program, then a .exe file created. Have you seen that? Have you seen? Anyone have seen that when you compile the your
Sir.
C program, then बोलो बोलो
सर
क्या
जैसे
बोलना
अब
चाह रहे हैं?
रन करते हैं ना, तो वहां पर एक ये दो फाइल आता है, एक
.exe फाइल क्रिएट होता है.
हाँ, एक
.exe फाइल.
ओरिजिनल और एक होता है .exe.
Same as that, when we compile the Java program, then bytecode is created, not exe. A bytecode will be created, and .exe is the extension for the compiling after compiling the C program. And here the bytecode, after compilation, the bytecode is created, and its extension is what? .class file. We call that as a .class file. Now this .class file or the bytecode which is created, this can be run in any platform. That means it is not saying that you, after compilation, the bytecode which you created, the extension of that bytecode is what? .class. And this .class file you can run in any system. It is not that you have done your programming in Windows, you have to run this .class file into Windows only. You can run this .class file in Linux or in Mac, anywhere. It is machine independent. That's why we call that as a platform independent. That's why we call this as a platform independent. That is what it is written. Suppose we run a Java program in Windows machine, that after compilation of the Java program, it generates some bytecode, and this bytecode is what? Machine independent. Now if we run this bytecode in Mac machine, then the Mac machine will do what? It has own source of Java environment. If we run in Linux machine, then in the Java has also has its own environment, and JVM installed, Java virtual machine installed. This JVM can understand the bytecode generated by the compilation of the Java program in Windows. And that's why the statement I have written in the first, you have seen that write once, write your code only one time, write your code and run it in anywhere. No machine, in no machine, or it is said that you have written the Java program in Windows. That means you have to run the Java programming in Windows machine only. No, in like this in dependency is there. You can run in anywhere. So that's why it is saying that write once, run in anywhere. So this is the features, and this features is what you cannot find in our C like this. You cannot find this. Okay, so that's why it is machine independent. And the third is, it is very simple. Now syntax is what? Syntax is based on C++, and C++ is what? It is also an object-oriented programming approach concept. It follows this language, also follows the object-oriented concept. And removal of certain, this syntax is based on like that programming language. Yes, doesn't think that both syntax are same, but many approaches, because both of this language follows the object-oriented programming approach. So that's why the concepts are basically some like this same, but our Java is more advanced than C++. And that's why these two programming language follows object-oriented programming approach. So the concepts of both of these are like some same, but the syntax is what? The syntax is different, and our Java is more advanced. And removal of certain excepts programming language, programming like pointers. Now in Java, we do not have any concept of pointer. Now pointer concept when we use, basically pointer is what? Pointer is a variable which stores the address of another variable, right? That means what? Pointer is a variable which stores the address of the another variable. That means address of the another variable. That means it is what? It is connected with the memory, some memory connected, because how we find the address? Whom address is that? The memory address in which the variable is stored. So that's why what? It is related with the memory. So in this Java, we directly doesn't point it to the memory. We direct cannot access the memory here. So that's why there is no pointer concept. Fourth point, you see that Java do not have pointer concept. So you cannot access the memory directly. So if we cannot connect the memory directly, that means what? There is no reason using the pointer concept. That's why there is no pointer concept present in Java. And Java program is what? Java program runs on the JVM, and this Java program runs. The Java program run inside this. So if there is any problem in the Java, then the problem will remain inside the virtual machine only. That means if any problem is generated, that should be present in the Java virtual machine only. It will not affect in the operating system, because you see in this operating system, inside of this operating system, there is a Java virtual machine present, and the program is what? This program runs inside this JVM. So it will not affect in the operating system. Okay. So this is what the Java has, the features. And architectural neutral. So what is this architectural neutral? Now there is no implementation of dependent features. That is what some examples of primitive type is set. Some primitive type is what? It is already set. You will see when later on we will see that some classes, some methods that are already predefined. And we want, if our in programming, when we will do the programming, that class, that predefined class, will do what? We will import that in our program, because the thing or the statement which we will write inside here, that is what basically related to the predefined classes concept. So why we will write this code again? There is no need to write because already it is defined some classes or some methods that is predefined in Java. And in our programming, let's say that concept we required, that class method which it is doing, that thing we required, then why we will write that? Because it is already present. So we will directly import that. When we will move on, we will see that. Then it is robust. Java and 6 point is portable. So portable is what? That is what we already discussed, that we can run our bytecode in anywhere. So you have done your code and you stored it, that bytecode which is created, that bytecode you kept on your pen drive, let's say, pen drive, that bytecode you have copied, and that bytecode you go to another where in the system that is using Linux, and you then copy in there and run the program. That can happen also. So that's why it is portable, we call that. And robust. So Java comes with the automatic garbage collection. Now there is nothing we have to write the statement for garbage collection. For C, what we will write? CLR SCR, clear screen. Sometimes we write that for the garbage we have that for use, we have written the CLR SCR, clear screen. But here there is nothing like that we use. We use doesn't like here, because the Java are automatically garbage collection mechanism present. And there is strong exceptional handling. There is exceptional handling is what? It is another thing which will be discussed in the later on, because this is the object oriented programming approach. Another approach, this is the exceptional handling. Okay. And multi-threading concept, the threading which in the syllabus I have discussed, that threading concept. So I know that you didn't know that threading concept. The threading is basically related to the operating system. So when I will discuss the threading concept, then in that time I will discuss this object oriented programming concept. I will try to discuss you, because the time is very small. Your Java syllabus is what? Your Java syllabus is basically a huge volume of syllabus, but the time is what? The time is bound. So I will try to discuss you with all the thing, but if it is not possible, I will then, because your regular students, the regular classes that is already started from your October, month of October. So all of this I have already discussed, but for you also, because you have already newcomer, that's why I'm again discussing about that, because Java is such a language that if the concept, the class and object is concept is not clear, you will not able to move on, because it is related to each and every topic is related to one another. So that's why I will take some time when I will start the discussing the first, because if the your thing is not clear, then how you will understand the next topic? It is not possible in Java. That's why I am taking some time, and I will discuss each and every point in this regarding. Okay. Then this multi-threading concept is what? Only know now that threading is what? It is like a process. The process that is executing, we call that as a thread. And in multitasking, what we done? We can run two different processes simultaneously. Now a basic example is when you, let's say, like you open your system and you are opening the Facebook and you are listening the music. Both things, both application is running simultaneously now. So that means what? This is the two process that are running simultaneously. You are chatting and doing Facebook, and you are also listening a music. So both is what you are doing using in your system. You are doing that. So that means what? That means it is the multitasking concept. In the multitasking, we can run the two different process simultaneously. And P1 and P2, these are the two process. Let's say if we take an example, this will be run. And in Java, we divide a process, sometimes divide a process into the two parts. So when we divide the process, this process will be what? Some parts will be there and that part we call the threads. So a single process we divide, and after dividing, there will be the lightweight process present. That lightweight process is what we call the thread. We call it as the thread. Now here in this example, what we have done, so P is what? P is our process, and we divide that in the two. We divide this into the two parts, T1 and T2, two threads. So this T1 and T2 is what? It is running simultaneously, and we can say it as the multi-threading. So Java is a optimized programming. Now here we will discuss the difference between the Jdk, Gre and Jvm. The name you are already when I am saying that discussion, in that time I have mentioned, but what is the purpose of using that? We didn't say that till now. The Jdk, the name of the Jdk is Java Development Toolkit. Gre is Java Runtime Environment, and Jvm is what? The Java Virtual Machine. So one by one we will discuss. So JVM is what? It is the abstract machine. It is the abstract machine that provides what? That provides the runtime environment in which the Java bytecode can be executed. That is what we say, that inside the JVM, the Java program runs. So this is what? This is the abstract machine, and it provides a runtime environment in which the Java program runs or executed. And it is what? The platform independent. It is the platform independent. Now, what are the functions of this? The function is loads the Java code first. The Java code, that loading that Java code first, and then verify that Java code, that whether it has error or not. Because in the compilation time we see that. So first we will load the Java code and then verify that whether it has error or not. After verifying that, if there is error, then it will be shown. Otherwise, if there is no error, then we will execute that. And when we will execute, that time it will provide the runtime environment. This JVM provides the runtime environment. So,
Sir, what is the meaning of virtual machine, sir? What is a virtual machine?
Virtual machine, yes. Virtual machine is what? Already I have said that Java of JVM is what? It is like in C. In C, what you have done, the compiler part. This compiler part, what you do in the compiler is basically a program which runs your code. And what it will do, you will write the code, but you will write the code in which you will write the code on your own language. That is the C language you are using. But as a computer, it doesn't understand your C language, or the English codes you have written, computer doesn't understand anything. It will do what? It will convert your code to the machine code. The machine code is basically consists of 0 and 1, because computer only understand the two things, 0 and 1. If you say, sometimes I will say that when you will try to open the .exe file or .class file, try sometime opening that. So when you will open that time, you will see a type of code that you doesn't understand anything. But yes, that code is understandable by the machine. That code is understood by the machine. So the compiler is basically what? It transfer your code or converts your code from machine to your source code which you have written in your own language. That should be converted in your program, in your machine dependent code. Same as that for JVM is also like that. This is the virtual machine, like this compiler present, which will do what? The code. Yes, in the JVM, which in the Java, you have written the codes. The computer doesn't understand anything which you have written. It is not that nothing computer understand. So it will do what? It will convert into its own dependent code. And this machine dependent code will be 0 and 1. Writing 0 and 1, it will convert that